start, my name is Richard O'Valley. I'm the speaker of Evolution of Leadership. And I would like just to thank everyone. And just a reminder that it is some aspects in life that are going to be really complicated, as we all know. Aspects of life could get, a little tough, but we always should be in a constant change. If we notice some aspects in our lives that are not good for us, that we believe these aspects are a little negative for us, that are going to stop us, to improve, to move on, to have that development as a leader. Because remember, a leader is in constant change. A leader is in a constant improvement. So if we notice these type of aspects in our lives, it is always good to make a change. It always is going to be for a positive change, of course, because it will be, having a perfect life. It could be something a little topic. It will be nothing perfect in life, but well, however, like I said, some aspects of life are going to be really, really complicated, and you just must change it for your own good. In order to help others, you always got to help yourself. So that is one somehow the aspect of our speaker topic today. So since you guys know I'm the no spoiler guy, our today high profile speaker will talk about like how this individual went through a personal health transformation. Yes. So this individual was with 80 pounds and he just shredded. He noticed that this amount, of weight wasn't good for him, and he didn't feel good with it. So in order to change that, he started, a transformational situation in which this inspired for him to help others and a million people. So that is one of his goals. Also, he's one of the best sell authors. He has three best-selling books, and he's also the founder of Keto Camp. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Mr. Ben Azadi. Mr. Azadi, thank you so much to be here tonight.
Thank you for the introduction, Richard. Yeah, for me tonight, for you guys, maybe early in the day, but it's great to be here with you.
Yeah, we fully appreciate it. Thank you so much. How is everything going?
Outstanding. I'm excited to have a great conversation today.
Perfect. So I leave the microphone for you.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be here with you all. Thank you for your presence and for your energy and attention. That's something that we don't get back. So I want to value your time and make sure that this is an impactful conversation. I'm going to present for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. There's a whole agenda. So as Richard mentioned, I'm somebody who was obese for most of my life. I always used to say I was tiptoeing my way through life, hoping to land safely on death's door. Didn't have any ideas of any goals. I didn't know what the word entrepreneur meant, leadership meant. I was addicted to video games, a bad environment, and a standard American diet. And that showed with my physical appearance as I was physically obese, but it also showed with my mental ability, because I was also mentally bankrupt and mentally obese, thinking toxic thoughts. So I went through a transformation back in 2008 where I lost 80 pounds. I went from 34% body fat down to 6% body fat. And something that I did was I carved out a physical six pack. But I say that because that wasn't even the most important thing that I achieved, because a physical six pack doesn't even mean you're healthy. What I achieved during my transformation was a mental six pack. I started to think better thoughts. I became an entrepreneur. I became a leader. I became a business person. And I started to make a bigger impact on this world. So I've written 3 best-selling books ever since. I'm about to release my 4th book, which I know it'll be another bestseller. And I'm committed to getting the information out there on keto and intermittent fasting. But today's topic is not about that. Today's topic is more about that mental six-pack. And I have a secret for you. I'm going to share it with you right from the beginning. I actually enjoy speaking about mindset, leadership, and training more than I do about nutrition and health. I just love it. It lights me up. So I have a presentation for you here where I know it's going to make a big difference for you. So I would love for you to be present, take some notes, write down some golden nuggets. One of my mentors once told me, if you think it, you got to ink it. So make sure you always write down an idea or a nugget, whatever your aha moment is, write it down, put it in your phone, put it on your computer, save it. And then you could go back and revisit it and anchor back to that feeling when you wrote it down. So let me share my screen real quick with you. I have an amazing presentation. Let me open up the slides here. Today I'm presenting for the evolution of leadership, and we're going to talk about some ways to take your leadership and really your entire life to a whole level it's never been before. I want to start right here. You have a photo of a thermostat on the right and a thermometer on the left. And I'm asking you, you don't have to answer, just think about it in your head. Which one are you? Because there's two types of people in this world. And this is a lesson I learned from Les Brown, the great Les Brown. Most people out there, they fall on the category of the left. They are a thermometer, meaning they are letting their outside circumstances determine their temperature. They are hot, they walk into a room of cold, and they turn cold. They let their external environment, their friends, their family, their whatever it is, their circle influence their decision, influence their worth, influence their thoughts. And that's a tough way to live because you're just living according to what other people expects of you. And you're going to find yourself unhappy and frustrated. So what we want to do is we actually want to be a thermostat, as you see on the right here. A thermostat sets the temperature. A thermostat type of person walks into a cold room and turns it hot. A thermostat understands you got to exercise before you exercise, and how everything starts on the inside first. And we're going to get into that. What's really important is to do an audit of your environment. I truly believe environment is more important than heredity. Let me share something with you here. When you change, you become a threat to all of those in your life who don't change. When you start working on a goal, when you start eating healthier, when you start thinking about a new podcast you want to create or a new business venture, whatever goal you have, and you start sharing that with your environment, you become a threat to your environment. It's not because they want you to do bad, but it points a mirror to what they're not setting goals for what they're not doing. And when you embark on a goal, I got to tell you something, it might suck. As a matter of fact, a goal should suck. It should stretch you. It should expand you. It should take you out of your comfort zone, and it's going to suck. For example, when I was going through my 80-pound weight loss journey and health journey, I started to work out for the first time in my life, and I was sore for days. That sucked. I would go to parties and barbecues, and I would be offered chips and soda and things that were not aligned with my new goals. And I said no. My friends would call me a wussy, and it sucked, right? When you start a new goal and embark on a new business or a new partnership or whatever it is, it's going to expand you and it's going to suck. But I want to encourage you, you leaders out there, to embrace the suck. Because here's my formula for success. I want you to write this down. Suck, 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 assess. Okay? Just keep pushing forward. Embrace the suck. Yeah, it's going to challenge you. But when it challenges you, it changes you. The most dangerous thing to be is in a comfort zone. And most people don't even realize they are in a comfort zone. So some things I want to share with you right now is, how do you even know if your environment is serving you and your goals, or they are what I call crabs in a bucket? So here's an analogy I'm going to share with you. It turns out you could put 50 crabs in a bucket like you see right here in front of you, and you don't even have to put a lid on those crabs. You could leave those 50 crabs the 50 crabs in the bucket overnight, come back in the morning, and guess what? All 50 crabs will be there. You might be thinking, why wouldn't they just try to escape and break free? Well, they did. Anytime a crab would try to crawl out of that bucket, the other crabs will drag it back down, claw out at it, pull it back down. So the question is this: who are the crabs in your life? Who are people who are not supporting your goals? And here's the easy way for you to know. Chargers and drainers. Dean Graziosi talks about this. When you're sharing your goals with somebody, or not even that, when you're having a conversation with a friend, a family member, a coworker, whoever it is, when you're done with the conversation, are you charged up, ready to go crush that goal, ready to go crush that day? Are you energized, or are you drained? Do you feel like they just took some energy from you? They were vampires. They sucked some energy from you. It's very important to get clear on that. Something I learned from Grant Cardone is to grab a piece of paper. This is an activity you can do when we're done, but grab a blank piece of paper and draw a line right down the middle. And on the right side, you're going to write down all the people in your life who are supportive of you, the people that are chargers, that you feel charged up after having a conversation with them. On the left side, you're going to write the people who are not supporting you, the people who are ignoring your goals, people who are saying, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to take the risk? Play it safe, get a 401k, whatever it is. So you're going to come to find that the list on the right of the people who are supporting you, it's going to be a short list. And the people on the left, it's going to be a longer list. And the goal is not to just get rid of all those people, because they're probably going to be close friends and family members. But the goal is to spend more time with the people on the right who are supporting you and less time with the people who are dragging you down, those crabs in a bucket. That's a very important exercise that I really encourage all of you to do. And I want to know, in the chat box, if that's something you're going to take action with, write down the word in the chat box, action. I want to know who's going to take action with that activity of grabbing a piece of paper. Because here's the truth, action takers rule the world, not intention takers. We could have all the best intentions in the world. Emmanuel's in action. Cheryl is an action taker. Alexis, Jacqueline, Verdiana, Carla, that's what I'm talking about. A lot of people say they want to do something and they think about it and they have the best intentions, but the world does not reward intention takers. It rewards action takers. Something that I usually say when I'm speaking on stages is that when you just say you're going to do something and you have the best intentions, but you don't actually take the action, it is ineffective. It's like winking at a pretty girl in a dark room. It's not going to get you any results. So you got to make sure you actually take action, not just think it, but follow through with it. So I love that you're going to take that action on and do that activity. Here are 3 books, by the way, that changed my life. I've read probably over 1,000 books in my life, or listened to 1,000 books total, read or listened combined. And these are 3 books that made a big difference for me. Bob Proctor, The Art of Living, The Magic of Thinking Big, No Matter What by Lisa Nichols. If you read any of these, let me know in the chat box. I'm curious, but add these to your arsenal. Get this information, stand on the shoulders of giants, because what happens is when you start investing your time studying other successful people like I have, you take decades of learning and you turn that into days. It's one of the quickest paths to success. You stand on the shoulders of giants. And these are 3 books that can make a big difference for you all. These are 3 books that I wish I had when I was 21 years old, 24 years old, when I was going through a tough time. I didn't mention it, but when I was going through that weight loss transformation, the reason that I got started with it and I took action was because I hit rock bottom. I was on the internet looking for ways to end my life, to commit suicide. I was depressed. I had no goals, no aspirations. And anytime I looked for ways to end my life, I would think about my mother. I would think about the devastation she would have to go through. And thank God it stopped me from pursuing that. So I started to read books. Books saved my life. I started to actually expand my horizons. And then I used that rock bottom as a springboard to launch into what I call the zip code of greatness. And we're all designed for greatness. There is greatness in every single one of you. I believe that you are all masterpieces because you are a piece of the master. Whether that word master means God to you or Mother Nature or love the universe, there is a higher power and you were created to thrive. You were created for great things. It's our conditioning, which we're going to talk about shortly, that teaches us the opposite, that we were not designed for great things and that we should play it safe and that we should play it small. But if you're not living life on the edge, you are taking up too much space. That's what Bob Proctor said. So let's do some mindset training. I love mindset. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I love speaking about mindset even more than keto and fasting. Here's a great book. Most of you probably read this book or heard about Grant Cardone before, The 10X Rule. It's a great book for setting goals. Now, I don't agree with everything Grant Cardone teaches, but I have learned a lot from this man. He actually lives about 20 minutes from me here in Miami Beach, Florida. Here are some principles on how to set a goal and then crush that goal. So number 1, set a goal, right? And you want that goal to scare you. If your goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. It's not worthwhile. So when life punches you in the face, you're just going to give up on that goal. But if it's a big goal that is worthwhile, that is up on your higher values and true to your purpose, then when life punches you in the face, you're going to take those punches and you're just going to continue pushing forward. And then you want to 10x the desired result, meaning if you have a goal for a specific amount of income you want to make, let's say you have a goal to make $5,000 a month, take that goal and make it $50,000 a month and increase your actions as if you are pursuing $50,000 a month. What's going to happen is you're probably not going to hit that goal of 50K. You might hit 20K, 15K, or 10K, which is above the original goal you already had. So that is the principle of the 10X rule. Expand yourself. And there's 3 rules to understand about 10X in Grant Cardone's 10X movement. Number 1, success is important. We were designed to be successful, to thrive, to make a big impact on planet Earth. Number 2, it's your obligation and duty to pursue success. And I'm going to share briefly my definition of success. And then number three, there's no shortage of success. The people who are world class, they create and collaborate. The people who are amateurs, they compete. Okay, there is no shortage of success. I believe abundance is our birthright. At the bottom there, you see a quote from Grant. He says, "You should consider it unethical to not live up to your full potential." My definition of success comes from Earl Nightingale. He started the self-development movement back in I think the 1950s and 60s, and he said success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I'm going to repeat that because I want you all to write that down. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Let's unpack that real quick. An ideal is an idea and a goal, a 10x goal that you have fallen in love with. And as long as you are pursuing that goal, as long as you're closing the gap between where you are today and where you want to be with that goal, you're successful. And it's almost impossible to fail. Failure does not exist unless you quit on that goal. So as long as you're progressing towards that goal, you are a success. So the goal here is to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And as long as you make that gap smaller each day, hashtag close the gap, you are going to be successful, you're going to be happier, and you're going to make a bigger impact here on planet Earth. So I recommend this book if you want to listen to it on Audible or buy it. It's a great book to get. Now, I also recommend filling up your calendar with your 10x actions. If you don't fill up your calendar with high priority values and actions, it'll be filled up with low priority values. That's a universal law. So one of the things I've noticed over the years is that blank space on my calendar equals the devil's playground. Okay, things get in there that I don't want to do, that's not living up to my highest values. So fill up your calendar, live by that calendar. A lot of leaders do that. I do that myself. I see my calendar, I go by that calendar, but I make sure my calendar is aligned with my highest values. I say no to the things that are not aligned with my 10x actions and my goals, and I say yes to the ones that are, and then my calendar is filled up with that. So for example, one of my highest values is to study and to educate. That's why I said yes to come on here and educate you all about mindset. I'm going to share a great story with you. This is going to really inspire you, from Jack Canfield. He wrote the book, the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. They have set the Guinness World Record for the most book sales ever for any book with the Chicken for the Soul series. And I want you to believe it is possible, because what tends to happen is you start to set these massive goals, and then you think, is it even possible for me to do that? Like $20,000 in a month, $50,000 in a month, $5,000 in a month, or scaling your business or creating a podcast. I mean, whatever it is. And then you start to go in this panic mode. It's good to be scared. Fear is not a bad thing. Fear could mean two things. It could mean forget everything and run. Or you could follow faith, which is the other definition of finding answers in the heart. So fear and faith, the unique thing about both of them is that they both demand for you to believe in something that you cannot see, but it's really your choice. So I want to encourage you to choose faith, finding answers in the heart. So here's a story from Jack Canfield. That's a phenomenal story. So there was a story about a farmer in Australia named Cliff Young. This guy was 61 years old, and there was a race coming to town, which was a very popular race. I'm not sure if they're still doing this race, but what they did back then, it was a 6.5 day run. Okay. 6.5 day race where they would run over 600 miles. And this guy, Cliff Young, 61 years old, farmer, never ran a marathon, never ran a 5K. He owned a farm, and he showed up to the race wearing farmer boots and just overalls. And the reporters were asking him questions like, "Hey, where are your running shoes? You know, have you ever ran a race before?" And he would say, "No, I've never ran a race before, but I have a farm and I chase around the chickens and I herd my cattle. I move around. I'm pretty active." You see, Cliff Young never had the conditioning from reading a magazine like Runner's World or anything like that. He went into it with a blank slate. So he expected to do well. So what happens is that the race started, and how you're supposed to run the race according to Runners Magazine, Runners World, and the way that people were teaching it back then. You're supposed to run this race by running for 18 hours straight and then resting for 6 hours and sleeping and then recharging and going back. So the race starts, and this guy, Cliff Young, he um, he would start the race and he would just do this little shuffle, right? Just like that, this little shuffle. And it's called the Cliff Young Shuffle. So everybody passed him right from the start of the race. Everybody passed this guy and he's just shuffling along. 18 hours into the race, everybody who read Runner's World magazine and had this conditioning thought, okay, we have to rest now, sleep overnight, and then go back at 2 a.m. They passed him so far that he thought that they were just so far ahead of him, but they were actually pulled over, sleeping in tents. He didn't see them. And this guy just kept running. He just kept doing his Cliff Young shuffle. And he ran. He ran for 5.5 days, and he set a world record by 12 hours. Okay? Because he didn't have any conditioning. He didn't have any self-limiting beliefs. This guy set a world record, 61 years old, in farmer's boots, never ran a race in his life. So you have to really believe it can happen for you. When you think about the Roger Bannister, there was back in the day, there was a race for the 1 minute mile, right? They could not have nobody in the world ever ran a 1 minute mile. They would actually have people run from lions and tigers to try to make their body run a 1 minute mile in less than 5 minutes. So what happened was doctors and scientists actually thought it was impossible. They thought that the body is just not built to run a mile in less than 5 minutes. But this guy, Roger Bannister, he stopped believing in those scientists. He stopped believing in what the media was saying, and he believed in himself. And he set a record. He's the first person to run a 5-minute mile in less than 5 minutes. And guess what happened right after he did it? Every single other runner, well, not every other runner, but many other runners, months later, started to run a 5-minute or less mile, because he set the record, he set the bar, and he made it possible for others to see it. But he believed in himself. He didn't believe in what others said he couldn't do. He believed in Roger Bannister himself. So that is what's called our conditioning. Okay. And I really want you to understand this conditioning, because you're going to have thoughts of self-limiting beliefs. You're going to have thoughts that tell you, who are you to do this? You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not whatever, good looking enough. That has nothing to do with who you are or your potential. It has everything to do with your conditioning. So here's how I want you to understand your conditioning, which is called the paradigm in the mind. There was a baby elephant out in Africa, and this baby elephant was born into the world. And in Africa, they would put this baby elephant to work all day long. After a long day's work, they would tie shackles around the ankles of this baby elephant and then stake the shackles into the ground. And what happens is they would leave that elephant there overnight. He would try to escape. He would try to break free, but he was just a baby elephant. He didn't have the strength. So for weeks and months, they did this. Eventually, he stopped trying to break free. Now, years later, this baby elephant is now a full-grown elephant, a full beast, capable of pulling 10 times its own body weight, capable of pulling a car. And they still put this elephant to work all day long. They tie the same shackles around the ankles of this elephant, stake it into the ground, leave that big full-grown elephant there overnight. And that elephant won't even try to escape. It has been conditioned to believe when these chains are on your ankle, you're stuck, you're trapped, there's no breaking free. That elephant will sit there until it dies. Nothing will get that elephant to move unless you literally light a fire behind that elephant. So my question to you is this: what are the chains and shackles that you have put on yourself? What are these self-limiting beliefs that you put on yourself? It is your conditioning. And we have developed this, it's called the paradigm, during the first 7 years of our life. It's our experiences that we got that are programmed into our bodies. But we could actually choose better thoughts. We could actually choose better conditioning. We could choose conditions and thoughts that are going to serve what we want to accomplish. Because thoughts are where it's at. I change my life by changing my thoughts. The average person thinks 60,000 thoughts every single day. All right, 60,000 thoughts. And here's the deal, about 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts from the day before. They are learned behaviors, and they're typically negative thoughts, self-limiting beliefs. So if you could get really good at becoming aware, it's called consciousness, becoming aware of those thoughts that go through your head every single day and start changing those thoughts, you'll change your life, because what we think about and what we think about going to gratitude, we bring about. We don't get what we want in life, we get what we are. What we are those thoughts. So here's how I look at it. I learned this from Wayne Dyer. When a thought, when a negative thought comes through my head, I picture it as like a cloud with thunder and lightning. It's a self-limiting beliefs. And believe me, I still get them to this day, right? If you're successful, you're still going to get self-limiting thoughts, but the successful person knows how to switch that thought. So what I do is when I get a negative thought, I just let that cloud pass. So my thoughts are usually, you're not good looking enough, or you're not smart enough, or, you're not a doctor, or whatever it is. So I'll let that thought pass. I'll say, no, thank you. Let it pass. And then I'll choose a better thought. I'll use affirmations. And the better you get at this, the better you get at changing your thoughts, the more successful you're going to become, because you're going to start feeding energy to what you do want to work for you. And there is a universal law that states what you feed energy to expands. So if you're feeding energy to things that are not working for you, you're complaining, you're gossiping, you have self-limiting thoughts, guess what? The universe will give you more things to complain about, more self-limiting thoughts. But when you start switching that to positive thoughts, when you start switching that to things that you want to work for you, you'll get more things to work for you. That is a universal law. Whether you believe in gravity or not, that's also a universal law. Somebody jumps off a balcony, even though they don't believe in gravity, guess what's going to happen? They're going to see that gravity exists. So the science that goes around with this, the brain, right? The brain has something in it that activates that. The brain is a selective seeking mechanism, right? So think about when you go and you want to buy a new car, and let's say you want to buy a red Ford Mustang. So you go and you're starting to research online, and you go into the car dealership and you find that red Ford Mustang and you make that purchase. Now you're driving home in your nice Ford Mustang, and all of a sudden you're looking around, the car stopped next to you. It's a red Ford Mustang. And you're like, what the heck? And you keep driving and you see another Ford red Mustang. Well, you've activated, they were always there, but now you have activated that brain to see that. And that's what's happening with your goals. That's what's happening with your thoughts. So I encourage you, out of those 60,000 thoughts, think better thoughts. Become aware of your thoughts. And it's really tricky, because it's when you are brushing your teeth. It's when you are walking your dog outside, when you are washing dishes. It's those 60,000 thoughts that you think every single day. Most people are not even thinking. Bob Proctor said 2% of the population think. 3% of the population think they think, and 95% of the population would rather die than think. Okay. For most people, it takes a wake-up call. It takes an emergency. It takes a traumatic event to change their thoughts and their direction. For me, it was being suicidal and rock bottom. I was forced to do it. But you don't have to go through something like that in order to originate your thoughts. You could actually do it right now by being intentional with it. So what I do, and I'm going to wrap this up real soon. What I do is every night before bed, I write down all of my goals, and I write down what I'm grateful for. I encourage you to do the same. I have notebook like this, probably over 20, filled with goals and gratitude. I'm feeding my beast. I'm feeding energy to what I want to work for you. Gratitude is a superpower. What we think about and about, we bring about. And I believe what we appreciate appreciates even more. So I want to encourage you, in order to be a real leader, in order to make a big impact, you got to get really good with these thoughts. And here are a few books to really inspire you. These are autobiographies that I've read or listened to, and you get to hear from some of these legends who have done great things in their life, but all the struggles they went through and what they did to overcome that. I get so much when I read these books. So Kobe, Michael Jordan, Richard Branson, Phil Knight, Arnold Schwarzenegger. These are great books. I highly recommend you listen to. and stand on the shoulders of giants. And just here's some quick information for me before we open up to Q&A. I'd love to connect with you on any of these social media platforms. I'm always available and accessible. So I'll let it transition to Richard or somebody else for the Q&A part.
Awesome. Perfect, Ben. I appreciate that. I saw the center there. That was awesome. Richard Branson. Yeah. I was like, dang, no, that's actually a super dog right there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out and quick thank you to all the work being done at the CSUDH campus with EOL. We have branched out. You guys are doing great. Just if you're watching this video and you are at Cal State University, Dominguez Hills, definitely check out the Evolution of Leadership Club on campus and see how you can participate in it. We would love to meet you if you're into leadership as well, and connect really. So now that the update of EOL has been complete, I'm gonna give complete attention and Q&A power to the man, the myth, the legend, Ben Azadi.
Amazing.
Ask him some questions, boys.
As our CEO Angel says, all of them at once.
What was that?
Right. So I want to start, Ben. I came in very late. I'm sorry about that. Just getting used to the time change. But I loved your speech. I feel like I connect in a deep way with what you were saying because I am practicing that. I feel like whenever I get my daily Starbucks, I talk to the barista. I speak to them as if I've known them for years. And I feel like getting used to that vibration, that energy, it improves my communication, it improves my confidence, and it improves me, the way that I feel about myself, because I feel like if I practice that with people, I bring out the best in people, and at the same time, I'm bringing out the best in me. And I think that's very contagious, And so then, and I also, the way that you said, like the way you think, it kind of you feeding yourself, and I feel like it does, like affect your daily, activities, because are you feeling yourself? I feel like you just feel such an ultimate energy, and it's like, I feel like you're more effective when you're doing things, like even if it's like your goals on your job, the way you react to certain situations, it's just like all of that, it really surrounds everything that you do around your daily life, And for me, like it's really been a journey of up and down, because I feel like there's time where like I lose myself, and then like I have to like rebuild that energy, rebuild those constant like habits, to like rebuild my basically like my energy inside me, because at the same time I feel like it hasn't really happened, but like when I do catch myself feeling those negative energies, I try to like go above that, because like I don't want to transmit that to other people. So I'm definitely loving, what you said, and I would definitely love to connect with you, after the meeting or like any other day we could talk. Like I would definitely love that.
Awesome, Cruz. Yeah, well said. I love that you understand that awareness is huge. Because
do you hear me, Ben?
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit, but I was saying, Cruz, that when you go along with your day.
Any other questions, you guys? Anyone else want to go next?
Hey, Cruz is trying to reply.
Yeah.
Yeah, his connection is a little off. Meet yourself, Cruz. I'm gonna give you a response here. So when you go throughout your day, like Cruz was saying, there are two ways that you could live your day and day to day. You could infect people or you could affect people, right? So Cruz was saying he goes to Starbucks and he has a conversation with the barista. He is making a positive impact for them. He's affecting them in a positive way. A lot of people don't do that. They'll go around along with their day and they'll start affecting people. They'll start being rude to people. They'll start gossiping with other people and complaining. So it's so important because it is an energy transference here. And if you bring that energy and you transfer it to somebody else, you don't know what day they're having. They could be they could be depressed. They could be somebody who's depressed, somebody who has suicidal thoughts, and you can make a positive impact for them to actually have a better day and make better decisions with their life. So it's so important because we never know what somebody's going through. I'm somebody who is depressed and suicidal, and it's important to manifest that positive energy, not just for yourself. Yeah, you want to fill up your cup, but let your cup overflow to other people. So I love that, Cruz. I'm glad that my speech resonated with you, and I'd love to connect with you on social media.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it, brother.
Amazing, amazing. Any other question?
I have a question. Hi, Ben. My name is Karthi, and I have a question around the tools that you use to manage your life, because I find that often I'm very disoriented because, you know, my events are in a calendar and my tasks are in sticky notes or to-do lists or task app, and I use habit trackers and journals, and everything just feels all over the place. And it really lends itself to this age of being distracted constantly. And I feel like the tools that we use to manage our lives don't help. So wondering if you have any tips or any tools that you use that make it easier.
Yeah, Karthi, great question. I love that you're using these different tools, which is a blessing. We have all these things available to us, and then it could be also a curse because it kind of scatters your bandwidth. I would say to choose the top 3 things that's most important to you right now, your top 3 goals, and then work on those first. Start in the morning, work on those first with the most important task, and then when you complete that task, move on to the second one, complete that task, move on to the third one, and then anything else is just bonus. What I have found is that when I scatter my bandwidth too much, when I try to chase 2 rabbits, I end up chasing none. And it's true. It's almost impossible to multitask. So I would say to put on, you could use a sticky note. You could write the night before you go to bed or the evening before you're about to go to bed, write down that night, what are the top 3 things you need to accomplish tomorrow based off of your goals, and then work on that first. And then everything else is just a bonus.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Ben, that's insane. That's it. That's literally the latest thing I picked up recently. That's crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, one of my, I look up to this guy. His name is Derek. He goes by Derek Moneyberg. Really good. And he's like, yeah, pick 3 things, sleep on it, wake up, and you'll be surprised how many problems you solve just by waking up. It's crazy.
Love it. Yeah, it works. It absolutely works.
Amazing. Any other question, guys? Or our leaders?
I have a question. How's it going, Ben? Nice to see you again. So I have a question for you. My question with entrepreneurship, and especially when it comes to your YouTube channel, I noticed that you grew it to about 115K, correct?
Yeah, 118 now. Yeah.
118. Wow. So my question is, as the pressure grows, right? Because I'm sure you started off like with 100, 1,000. You know how everybody starts off. So my question is, what kind of mindset shift did you go through when you were expanding, right? When you started noticing, wow, my content is just hitting more and more people. What kind of mindset shift did you have to do to, get to the level that you are right now, compared to, the journey of getting there, right?
Yeah, awesome question. Yeah, so my YouTube channel has 118,000 subscribers. We accomplished that in the last 2 years. The biggest thing for that, and anything that I've done that's successful, was frequency. I want everybody to write this down. Frequency creates the genius. Frequency creates the genius. So the more times you do it, at first, Angel and everybody else, I was putting out content, releasing content on my YouTube channel. It was a slow growth, but I was still inside of my head, how did I sound? How did I look like? But then I got my attention off of myself and I put it on the camera. I put it on the person in front of me. If I could just impact the life of one person. So I became more relatable to my audience. And the more you do it, right, it takes time. You're going to, like I said before, the success principle, it's going to suck at first. You're going to be inside your head, talking to a camera. It's a weird deal. You start a podcast, you know, it's a weird deal. And you're going to suck at first, right? Your first video is going to be your worst video. Your first podcast is going to be your worst podcast, but it doesn't matter. You just keep doing it and you do it enough times, Angel, and you get better and better and better at it. So I would say when I first started my YouTube channel, my confidence and being in front of a camera, if I had to rate it from a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably like a 4. And now, just 2 years later, I would probably say it's like a 9, right? I'm still working on myself, but it was the frequency that helped me do that. And then I would, you look at trends, what videos really did well versus what didn't do well. It's unfortunate, but on my YouTube channel, anytime I talk about things like I'm talking about today, like mindset, the people who follow me for keto, they don't really want to hear it. Like those videos don't do well. But so what I've done, I'll talk about keto and then I'll sprinkle in the mindset, because I believe you got to exercise before you exercise. You could do your diet perfectly. You could do CrossFit perfectly, but if you don't have those thoughts, you can't heal. You cannot heal a body that you hate, and you cannot heal a body that has hate. So you start to get aware of this, and the more you do it, Angel, the better you get at it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And everybody, please do not come at once when it comes to asking questions. It's important to be a leader, we have Ben here with us today. So it's definitely important for us to take advantage of this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and transferring what Ben really talks about is like very, very powerful. It's like you're able to put that full energy. You're be able to do anything you want in the world. You feel like a superhero. You could kill interviews. You could, like you just become like so much better inside. So then Ben, trust me, my man Ben right here would definitely like, everything he says could literally change your life in seconds. It's all about practice. It's all about, doing like day by day. But trust me, like if you can ask questions right now, I totally recommend you to ask questions, because it could be a life changing. It's just like feeling yourself and just like putting the energy out there in the world. Like trust me, you could even be a millionaire, billionaire with that type of energy and mindset. Like you could talk to anybody in the whole wide world. The president, you feeling yourself, you have no self-doubt. So ask questions. I recommend you ask questions, take this opportunity. We don't know if we're gonna have obviously we're gonna have Ben again, but just be in the moment, ask questions. I mean, you probably
have a question.
All right.
You could go, and then I'll have Jackie.
So Jacqueline has a question here on the chat, everybody. So she asked, how can we keep creating content although you do not get many views or you do not see results? Does that mean that you have to change the concept or the idea?
Good question, Jacqueline. So when I started my YouTube channel back 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I committed to releasing a brand new video every Monday, every Friday, every Monday, every Friday. I committed. I wasn't interested in doing that. I committed to doing it. Big difference. And then 4 months into it, I had 342 subscribers. I was a little frustrated. I wanted to have thousands of subscribers. I wanted to scale it up, but I had 342. Now, 342 is great. Those are 342 people who said, I like Ben's work. I want to subscribe to learn more. But 10x rule, I wanted 10 times that, even more. So I was a little frustrated, but I committed to getting out the word. I committed to my cause. So I believe it was the universe testing me. I believe it's the universe testing you, Jacqueline, to your commitment. So I just said, all right, I'm going to keep putting out 2 videos a day. I said I was going to do it at least for the entire year. And what ended up happening was shortly thereafter, I had a video, 5 keto fruits you can eat all the time. It had a little over 1,000 views, which was the most views I had for any video at that time. And then I refreshed it later on in the day and it had 7,000 views. And the next morning it had 21,000 views. 3 days later, it had 57,000 views, and then 100,000, and now it has over 1 million views. So that video took off, and then I doubled down on my content. I went from 2 videos to 4 videos, but I believe it was the universe testing my commitment. I could have gave up. I could have been like, this is not for me, this YouTube game. That's one thing. But also, yes, if you see, what I recommend you do, if you have a YouTube channel, Jacqueline, or anybody else, filter it out by most popular. what are was doing, and it doesn't matter if you have 500 subscribers or 500,000, you could still get an idea and look at the trends. What do people watch most for your channel, and then make more variations of that. Number one. Number two, find somebody else in your space, or find multiple people in your space, in your niche, and see what they're doing on YouTube, filter out their videos by most popular, and then just model them. You're not going to copy them. You're going to use their videos that are crushing it with your personality and your information. So that's something you can do right there. And I do recommend finding a really good niche. The riches are in the niches. Okay. If you want to help everybody, you're going to end up helping nobody. So get really clear on the thing you want to really teach about, whether it's on YouTube or whatever it is, and be the authority in that expert. I am the leading authority on keto, on intermittent fasting, but I still sprinkle in mindset. I still sprinkle in sleep. I love talking about that stuff. So, but I'm the authority. Somebody shows up to my channel, they know they're going to get keto and fasting. And as you get bigger, then you get to start expanding to different topics. So get clear on the niche. And I hope that helped you, Jacqueline. I have a question for you all. It's okay if you don't have a question, although I do recommend you ask me questions while I'm here. But my question for you is, what was your biggest takeaway, biggest aha from my lecture today? Like, what was the thing that really stuck with you? Maybe you wrote it down in your notes. I want to just see what landed for you. And then I'm going to, as I answer Viri's question, I see the question there, put down what your biggest aha moment was. So I'll read Viri's question. I appreciate you for speaking. Honestly, I need to hear this. My question to you is, what is your story? How did you end up being so confident and just as great as you are in terms of leadership and speaking? Well, it started when I hit rock bottom and I was depressed and I wanted to give up on life, and I didn't want to do that to my mom. So I was forced to get out of that space. So I started to read books, and it's still evolving for me. I am confident here with you because I've done it so many times. I've been in the space now for 12 years. It's the frequency. And the more frequently you do it, becoming an effective leader, I see that, Cruz, the more frequently you show up, the more frequently you read books, the more frequently you change your thoughts for positive thoughts, the more confident you're going to become. Here's the biggest secret about confidence. Another thing to write down. Competence equals confidence. Okay? If you know what you're talking about, you're going to be confident. If you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to second guess yourself. So whatever it is that you want to teach and make videos about or start a business about, study the heck out of it. Don't listen to music in your car. Listen to an audiobook on that subject. Listen to a podcast. I have been studying, get this, on average, 3 hours every single day for the last 12 years. And I don't say that to impress you. I say it to impress upon you. The more research and the more knowledge you have, the more competent you are, the more confidence you will be when you show up. So Viri, just really study your subject. Find people who are teaching your subject. Pay them to teach it to you. Take a course. Say, hire a mentor, hire a coach, buy a book, buy an audiobook, listen to a podcast. Turn your walking outside with your dog to an educational lecture you're listening to in your car. You can turn your car to a college mobile, right? So those are the things that I've done over the years. I used to always get in my car, and I used to immediately get in my car, and I used to get my phone and put Spotify and listen to music. But then I decided I don't want to listen to music in my car. I want to study. But habits are tricky. Habits take a long time. According to the University of College London, it takes 66 days to develop a new habit. So I said, I want to listen to an audiobook or a podcast, but still, I would get into my car and just subconsciously grab Spotify. I would start playing it. And then I'd say, I don't know, what am I doing? I said I was going to listen to a book. And then I switched to a book. And then week after week after week, all of a sudden I got into my car and I immediately went for the Audible app and I listened to a book. So it just became second nature. So the more you do it, the more frequent you do it, you could change your habits. One of my favorite quotes is, the chains of habits are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. Okay, so I encourage you to just start with small habits and small little tweaks that really lead to giant peaks. And Cheryl says, aha moment, think better thoughts, 2%, 3%, 95%. Also love the thermostat versus thermometer analogy. Awesome, Cheryl. I'm glad that resonated with you.
Awesome. Ben, I do have a question for you actually. And first of all, thank you so much for the presentation. It was really wonderful. So I noticed that during your presentation, you mentioned that you write down your goals, and that is actually something that I do. And one of my 1 year goals is to be in 100 podcasts. So it's only fitting that I ask you, can I be in your podcast?
I love that. Good job. See, that's a bold decision right there. So my podcast is strictly for keto and fasting. However, we could do something else. We could do a live stream on Instagram or Facebook, and you could get introduced to my audience. Absolutely. I would be happy to do that, Emmanuel.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen, brother. Yeah, good question. I love it. That's what you do. You got to ask for what you want.
I actually have a question if we still have time.
Yeah, I have time. Hey, Giselle.
Hi, hello. Thank you for speaking. And my question is going to be a little bit different than most, and I don't want to sound a little sad or anything, but you talk about mindset, right? And how you keep pushing forward and continuing on this journey and to, make sure that you go ahead and fulfill the goal that you have. But what if there's a moment where you're trying and you've probably roughly around a year, it's more of a personal question, I'm sorry. So if roughly around a year, you've been pushing something and trying to make something happen, but the people around you are not listening to you, should I just give up or should I keep pushing? Because I'm in the point where why would I be somewhere when they're not listening to me while I could put my whole focus on something else? Like how Alexis mentioned, I am actually the president of the Evolution of Leadership at Cal State Dominguez Hills. So for me, if I want to be in another org, but this org doesn't pay attention to me, I feel like I have these wonderful skill sets that I could put into this organization, but they're not listening to me. Should I just leave it and continue focusing 100% on my team? Or should I continue to try to push forward and see if for some miracle they end up listening to me?
Yeah. It's an important question. So I can't give you, I don't know all the specifics to your situation, but I could give you some advice here. And I'm going to give you some coaching here, and it's from the heart. So if it sounds harsh, it's not harsh. It's from the heart. The word try means failure with honor. So are you committed to having them hear you out? Are you committed, or are you trying to have them do it? It sounds like you're committed. So let's eliminate the word try and just choose a better language. Because whenever we say try, we're just setting ourselves up for failure. And then the second thing is this. There was a great book out there called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. By an author named Bonnie Ware. She was a nurse, a hospice nurse in Australia, and she would interview people on their deathbed, hundreds of people, older people on their deathbed, getting ready to die. And she would ask them one question: what is your biggest regret? And they had several answers, numerous different answers. But the number one regret of the dying was not living a life true to themselves. Instead, they lived the life of what others expected of them. So my question to you is this: with your organization, they're not listening to you, they're not hearing you out. Is that a result of you not shining your light? You're kind of dimming your light in front of them because you're worried about something they're going to say, or you are shining your light, you're speaking your truth, they're just not hearing you. You've done it for a year and they're just not aligned with your mission. Which one is it? Is the beginning you're just not shining your light, or they're just not aligned with your mission?
That is a very good question. I want to say a mixture of both. There's moments where I try to push forward and shine my light, but every time I get rejected, I don't want to, I guess, angry the bear. So I dim my light and I stay quiet. Got it.
Use that word try again. That word. I want you to try and put your right arm up like that. Oh, you did it, right? No try. So dimming your light, something that I do. My word for this year is self-worth, because I tend to, when I'm around people who are power players, I kind of dim my light and I don't shine. So I'm getting more better myself. I still struggle with it. So number one, it doesn't matter what somebody says to you. The only thing that matters is what you think after they say it, right? If I came up to you right now, Giselle, and I said, hey, Giselle, your hair is red and it's ugly. You look at me like, dude, whatever, man, you're weird. My hair's not red, right? Because you know that as a fact, right? So if you know as a fact that what you're up to is important to you, it's going to serve a greater purpose. Then when somebody says it's stupid or when somebody doesn't agree with it, you're going to look at them like they're calling you redheaded, right? You're not redheaded. So show up, be confident, study, make sure you know what you're talking about. And if you do that, if you shine bright and they're still not willing to hear you out, then maybe you could have one-on-one conversations with them. Maybe you get into their head, want to understand where they're at, why they don't agree with you. And if it's still getting to the point where they're like, it just doesn't work, well, it just doesn't work. I used to own a CrossFit gym here in Miami for over 4 years. And me and my business partner had different visions. And eventually it was just like, it just doesn't work. We attempted to make sure we were on the same page, but we weren't. And I ended up just leaving. And it was the best decision I ever made in my life. It expanded me. So if that door does close for you, I'm not saying it should or it will, but if it does close for you, another bigger and better door will open up for you. The problem is that so many people don't walk down the hallway to see those doors that are now opened up. So first, shine your brightness, shine your light, be very confident, communicate one-on-one. And if they're still not agreeing with you, then it might be time to part ways.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. And I'm going to listen to your advice. Thank you very much. It just put things into another perspective. So I'm going to shine my light as bright as I can, keep knocking on the door. And if they still don't see it, then I'll walk down the hallway and see which door opens for me.
There you go. I love it. Take action. You know what you should do? You should take, when we're done here, a video of yourself, because you're lit up right now. You look inspired. So record a video of yourself. And whenever you find yourself down, play that video for yourself. Go like anchor back to this feeling here, because motivation doesn't really last, but inspiration does. So if you can continue to inspire yourself and record that and play it to yourself, it'll make a big difference for your future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing. That was just amazing. I was having some questions, but I think that while you were talking and other people were asking, you already answered them.
Oh, great.
3 more minutes, guys. It is a priceless time. Let's use it.
Yeah, don't waste it, guys. It's not often we have someone like Ben Azadi here. I'll put it right now.
I see the ahas. Cruz says, asking yourself.
Go
ahead.
Oh, from your presentation, one of the things that I definitely got out of it was the crab episode. I mean, the photos, right? They don't let each other leave. So I really liked how you mentioned write down the lists of names, right? The people who support you is definitely shorter versus the people that don't. And yeah, that I guess for me that kind of gave me a new perspective so that I could truly map out in my life, where to put my energy on, right? Where to really focus that, because you're 100% right. Why would I put, and I think I've learned that so much more during the pandemic, right? Because I started noticing that I started just going pretty much 100% into my business now. And then I started seeing different things. And yeah, what you were talking about when it came to the crabs pulling each other, not letting each other escape, definitely resonates.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, that's a great analogy. And it makes so much sense. I know when I started my journey, I had a lot of crabs in my life. And one of the most difficult things is to start cutting those people out of your life or spending less time with them. It hurts. It hurts when you start a new goal. It hurt me and then I didn't have people support me. So that's why you got to be really convicted in your mission and, not please anybody, like Giselle, shine your light, really shine your light. Nobody's living your life but you. Nobody has your unique abilities and values and values than you. It's unique to you.
I have a quick question though.
Yeah.
So when you kind of get into, it's very interesting now just because like I feel like now you're more easily connected, how does that apply? Like what's your perspective on the chargers and the draggers, if now you don't necessarily have to be physically in front of somebody to intake what they're feeding?
It's a blessing.
Like how does
Yeah, because I mean, if you're not going to parties or events where you have those people draining you, it's a blessing. You know, it's the, for every negative thing, there's a positive thing, right? We just went through a year 2020 where a lot of doors closed, but a lot of doors opened up as well. That's a universal law as well. It's a law of polarity, right? If you have up, you have down, you have left, you have right, you have black, you have white. There's always a law of polarity. So it's a blessing. That's a blessing from what happened with spending more time digging into ourselves, digging into the research, digging into the things we want to accomplish. So it's a good thing, Alexis. I think it's a really good thing because you don't have that those temptations or the peer pressure out there at events. You could start working on yourself. You could start inner-sizing now. And then when you do go to those events and you do see those people, you're much more confident because you're more competent and you've worked on yourself.
Gotcha. And I think we have time for one more question.
Uh,
Out of in respect of Ben Azadi's time and everyone else's time, we're gonna have to conclude pretty soon. Ben, if you want to stay along for a few minutes, that's up to you. However, if you need to leave right now, we're gonna go ahead and end it.
Yeah, I'll answer another question. If not, we could close it up. I see Bobby says how to bounce back from negative comments. Universe adds and subtracts. Awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
Was
Okay,
that
so
a
to
question
conclude
from
our event, thank you so much, Ben, for being here with
hold on.
us. Oh, yeah.
I said, hold on. I wasn't sure, Bobby, that was a question. That's why. Yeah, it was a question. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it was a question. How to
Yeah.
bounce back from negative comments. Kind of like what I told Giselle. Doesn't matter what somebody says to you. What matters is what you think after they say it. If you're confident, if you are a good person, if you're doing good things in this world and somebody tells you you're not, then okay, it's like, thank you for your opinion. Here's the deal. Haters, you know, we have haters and naysayers, right? Grant Cardone talks about this. Haters are obvious. They're going to comment on your social media. They're going to tell you right in front of your face that whatever negative comment it is. But the naysayers are actually more dangerous. It's those small little comments from your friends and family saying, why do you want to start that podcast? Why do you want to start that business, et cetera, et cetera? Those tend to land harder. So for the haters will see you walk on water and say it's because you cannot swim. Naysayers are just saying that, not because they want to hurt you and drag you down, but when you change, you become a threat to those who don't change. It goes back to that quote. So really just understanding that everybody's doing the best they can with their own awareness. So just, you got to live your life. You don't want to be on your deathbed like those people in Australia with that one regret of not starting your business because somebody said something negative about it. I get negative comments on my YouTube channel all the time. Of course, in the beginning, it did penetrate me and it did hurt me. But now I'm just looking at that and I'm like sending that person love. That person must be hurting right now. That person might be going through something. So I'll just literally send them some love. So send love to the negative comments and the people who say it. Who knows what they're going through is what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. Alexis, you want to go ahead and end the event?
For sure. Thank you everybody for coming. You guys took one step closer to your leadership journey. You know, you guys, this is time that you invested into yourselves. And thank you so much, Ben, for being here with us today and really illuminating our journey and what we will face.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you all for your time and energy. I hope to connect with you on social media. Giselle, give me an update on social media. I want to see what you end up doing. And I'm available on Instagram, whatever you want to catch me. So thank you all. Have a wonderful night and go out there and take massive action.
And have an amazing one, guys. Thank you so much to be here. We appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.